Welcome back, my friends. Currently, we're on day 346 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine, and the United States has announced their latest security assistance package worth $2.17 billion. Lots of great stuff in here, including additional ammunition for the HIMARS launchers, additional 155mm artillery rounds. We've got 250 Javelin anti-armor systems, 2,000 anti-armor rockets, 2 Hawk air defense system firing units, Puma unmanned aerial systems, and here's the line item that has everyone the most excited: precision-guided rockets. So it's official, Kyiv is getting long-range rocket-boosted bomb. Now on my channel for the last 2 months, I've been telling you, I've been mentioning this, and I knew that it was coming. So the ground-launch small-diameter bomb will enable Ukraine to hit targets at twice the distance of any weapon currently provided. This is GLSDB. Now that's the good news. They've been announced. The bad news, I apologize, I feel bad even saying this, the bombs won't likely reach Ukraine for several months. This is according to Marine Lieutenant Colonel Garen Garn, a Pentagon spokesman. So why? And what GLSDB is it's a cooperation between Boeing and Saab. They got the idea to put together these M26 rocket motors with these GBU-39 small diameter bombs. This is actually a concept idea they've had for a couple years now, but they couldn't find a buyer willing to basically enable this system. So now that the contract has been signed, the funding has been approved, Boeing and Saab now have to start fabricating probably thousands of these interstage adapters. They probably only made a limited number, maybe like 10 or 12 for testing purposes to try and sell it to the Pentagon. But now that the Pentagon has awarded them the contract, allocated who knows how much money, now Boeing and Saab can actually start fabricating all of the adapters and maybe wing and glider units that they need in order to build this system for the Ukrainians. I did some additional research, and there's also concern about these M26 rocket motors. They were built decades ago, and the United States does not want to transfer weapons to the Ukrainians that might not work or might explode in the launcher. So all of these M26 rocket motors use solid propellants, solid fuel, and they all have to be scanned and x-rayed to make sure there are no cracks in the fuel. So it's just about safety. The United States wants to guarantee that they are safe and effective before transferring them to the Ukrainians. Unfortunately, this process is going to take months, but the factories are being stood up, the assembly lines are being built. Eventually, I'm hoping thousands of these GLSDBs can be produced and then delivered to Ukraine later this year. The selling point on this weapon system is that, yes, it's an additional range up to 150 kilometers, but this is cheap. Each one of these units I found online, it's estimated that each one is about $40,000. For $40,000, I would argue it's worth using a single one of these in order to take out a Russian tank. I don't know how much exactly a T-72 costs the Russians, but it's probably way more than $40,000. Additionally, don't be fooled by the name of small diameter bomb. This bomb is still 250 pounds. For my European subscribers, that's 113 kilograms. This is still a very devastating bomb that does have precision guidance, so it should strike within a meter or so of its intended target. This is going to be a nightmare for Russian forces as soon as they start appearing on the battlefields. So here's a map showing the range, and the yellow shaded area is for Gimlers. This is what the Ukrainians currently have, and the red line would be the extension given to them once these GLSDB rockets start showing up. Now, I think the Ukrainians have promised the Americans that they won't fire these rockets into Russia or maybe into Belarus, just into occupied territories. So this would include territories in the Luhansk region, especially the city of Luhansk, and then, of course, the ultimate prize, Crimea. When we zoom in on the map down here, you can see that the extended range of GLSDB puts everything on the north of the Crimean Peninsula at risk. But if the Ukrainians can push, if they can reach the city of Melitopol, or get to the coastline for the Sea of Azov, maybe the city of Berdansk, then almost all of Crimea, including Sevastopol and the Crimean Bridge, will be within this 150-kilometer striking distance. So I think this is the master plan, what Western allies are advising the Ukrainians to do. I'm sure they want to reach the city of Melitopol. This would cut the Russians west of Melitopol off. Also further isolate Crimea. And then, once again, go after that bridge. Maybe go after any ferries, trying to resupply the peninsula before the inevitable taking back of the Crimean Peninsula by the Ukrainians. There's lots of good news out there. I can't mention all of the democratic allied nations who are stepping up and providing fantastic security assistance to Ukraine at this time. I can only mention a couple in this video. Canada has delivered their first Leopard 2 main battle tank to Ukraine. Over the weekend, it was loaded onto a plane and then flown direct. This is a battle-ready tank, doesn't need any serious maintenance or upgrades. So this should be arriving in Ukraine. It's probably already there. So thank you very much, Canada. Germany is also saying that it now wants to send Cold War-era Leopard 1 tanks to Ukraine. Now, these were built in the 1950s and 60s, but an old tank, you could argue, is still better than no tank. And I think as long as there are still parts and expertise how to maintain these vehicles, delivering them in substantial numbers to the Ukrainians could have an impact on the battlefield once Ukraine starts going on the offensive. So what is Russia's response to this escalation of additional tanks and precision-guided bombs to Ukraine? And Russia's Medvedev says, more U.S. weapons supplies means all of Ukraine will burn. Former Russian President Medvedev said the supply of more advanced U.S. weaponry to Ukraine will only trigger more retaliatory strikes from Russia. All of Ukraine that remains under Kyiv's rule will burn. That's a direct quote from the journalist that interviewed Medvedev. I'm really going to enjoy his trial at The Hague. This guy has been pretty intolerable the last year. And it doesn't matter if NATO helps Ukraine by supplying them weapons or not. This is what Russia has been doing and will continue to be doing to every single city to Ukraine as long as Ukraine resists Russian rule. This right here is Ruski Mir. And this city is the city of Marinka. It's in the Donbass region. This is about 10 kilometers west of the Russian-occupied city of Donetsk. And this is all the Russians can do. Kill every person, destroy every building, and hope the Ukrainian ground forces just pull back. They just concede the territory. Russia doesn't care about the people. Russia doesn't care about the cities. All they want is the land underneath it in order to expand their empire. This weekend, Putin also marked the 80th anniversary for the Battle of Stalingrad. He gave some speeches, but honestly, sharing clips at this point isn't even worth it. Here's an interesting observation about the wreath-laying ceremony. This is Putin in 2018. This was the 75th anniversary of Stalingrad. And you'll notice that the ceremonial guard has a weapon. However, if we forward to this weekend, they're not allowed weapons anymore. Not around the dear leader, Putin. And if you're not familiar with where on the map Stalingrad is, Stalingrad doesn't exist anymore. The city was renamed to Volgograd. So, really, it shouldn't even be called the Battle of Stalingrad anymore. The city was renamed. After Joseph Stalin died, basically there was an exhale amongst the Soviet people, given that he was a mass murderer that killed tens of millions of his own citizens. And to kind of move past the Stalin era, they renamed this city. They renamed it to Volgograd. So it's very bizarre that in Russia today, they're trying to glorify and fetishize Joseph Stalin. Russians have unveiled a new statue of Stalin in Volgograd this week as a new generation of Russian soldiers commit genocide in Ukraine. This guy right here was the all-time champ at committing genocide in Ukraine. He was the driving force behind the Holodomor, which starved millions of Ukrainians. And for Russians today to be glorifying and talking about Stalin, I mean, there's a lot about Russia that doesn't make any sense, but Stalin was the prior Soviet premier, and he was Georgian born. He wasn't even an ethnic Russian. What does the modern Russian state have anything in common with Joseph Stalin anymore? The Soviet Union is gone. It shouldn't be part of their nation's modern history. And of course, I'm asking you a rhetorical question. What the Russians today love about Joseph Stalin is that he was powerful and he killed a lot of people. He killed a lot of his enemies and he killed a lot of his own people. But this is the Time magazine map, Two Worlds from 1950. I just think this is a really cool map, but this is the map that Russians look at with envy. This is the height of Soviet power, height of Moscow and the Kremlin's power. The Russians of Moscow controlled Central Asia, the Caucasus, Eastern and Central Europe. They had tremendous influence over Asia. These are the glory days that Putin wants to return his people to. They look at this map from 1950 and say, we want to go back to that. That is when we were at our highest. So in order to prepare their children for decades of war to retake the Caucasus, retake Central Asia, retake Eastern Europe, they're indoctrinating them with propaganda such as this. This clip is from last year, but let me share it with you.
Война – это победа. Война – это любовь. Война – это друг. Война – это будущее, заложенное в мире.
Wow. So we've got war is victory, war is love, and war is a friend. This is about as close as you can get to George Orwell's 1984 slogans for his dystopian country. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. And something interesting about the book 1984, it's become the best-selling or most read book in Russia for the year 2022. 1984 is the most popular fiction download of 2022 on Russia's online book-selling platform. So George Orwell's novel 1984, about citizens living under an oppressed regime that is continuously engaged in a senseless war, has become the most read book in Russia. English author Eric Arthur Blair, who is better known by his pen name George Orwell, he published the novel in 1949, shortly after the Second World War and before the Cold War between the West and the Soviet Union began. So this book was published in 1949. George Orwell drew inspiration from the dystopian nightmare that was the Soviet Union in 1950. And immediately the Soviet Union banned the book. It was illegal to own or read 1984. And it remained banned until the year 1988. Now in Belarus, the book is still banned. Lukashenko does not want anyone reading 1984, but maybe in Russia, I don't think it's banned, but Putin probably just hopes that the average Russian person isn't willing to read a book. And here's the crazy thing about 1984. When Big Brother is described, there's thought that Orwell drew inspiration from Joseph Stalin. The poster gazed from the wall. It depicted simply an enormous face, more than a meter wide, the face of a man of about 45, with a heavy black mustache and ruggedly handsome features. In the book 1984, you have to learn to love Big Brother. This is what Vladimir Putin is doing today, trying to train his people to learn to love Big Brother and accept endless wars. And they're hearing it nonstop on Russian state TV. I've shown this guy before. He owns some kind of Eastern Orthodox broadcasting network. He's a huge supporter of Putin and very much in favor of this war. And listen to what he says about Russian patriots and the fatherland.
И большой ты патриот или нет, проверяется очень просто. Ты готов умереть или нет? Нет, ты не патриот вообще. Ты не маленький патриот, ты вообще никакой патриот. А если ты готов, ты патриот. Вот такой простой критерий для величайшей традиционной ценности нашего любимого Отечества.
So this is the Christian Broadcasting Network in Russia telling people that they need to be prepared to kill and die for the fatherland. So how does the average Russian soldier on the front lines feel about this message? Here is another viral video of Russian soldiers complaining about the conditions they're expected to fight under.
Стреляли, пейнтбольные лопатами, бегите, да, туда? Против танков, как мы идем туда?
Блядь, вот я что-то вот не знаю, не стою, вот эти все проблемы. Думаете, если я слушаю, один вопрос, вперед! Это уже не специальная военная операция, тут уже законы другие.
Сейчас они вот так хотят, если мы идем, боеприпасы закончатся, мы там сдохнем, да, короче? Все, вот это
мы как раньше не можем. Так вот сегодня Аврора пришел, у него штаны гнилые, вот так. Он пришел к этому командующему, он говорит, ты кто? Он говорит даже не может, болеет. Я, говорит, командир роты. Все. Ну нахуй вот это снимает.
So here's the unit commander saying, why are you filming this? The Russian military banned all smartphones because they don't want their soldiers to have cameras, microphones, and access to the internet because videos such as this would constantly be posted online. I'll put the link to this video down below in a pinned comment if you want to watch the rest of it. All of these Russian soldiers just look very pathetic. And I think the Russian forces on the front lines would be fighting better if they knew what their objective is. I've been watching clips from Kremlin State TV for almost a year now, and I still can't determine what is the objective of the Russian military. At the Battle of Stalingrad, it was to defend Stalingrad, to defend the motherland. But these Russian soldiers in this clip are being forced to advance, forced to attack Ukrainian defended positions without the proper air support or artillery or even having enough ammunition for their weapons. So here we are on Russian state TV, and they're having a debate. What is the objective of this war? Russians debating Russians on Russian state TV a year into this war, trying to even figure out what is Russia's true objective.
Цель-то какая? Победа, что такое? Захватить территорию?
Если победа, если победа, значит, да, здесь совершенно верно. Вопрос в определении, что такое победа. Если под победой подразумевается смена режима в Киеве, то это означает необходимость брать Киев.
Нет.
И другие украинские города. Нельзя.
Совершенно это не означает физической необходимости занять
областной центр, кроме Херсона, который был взят без боя в начале, а потом сдан, не под контролем России.
Виктор,
на
вы
Украине.
нам это повторяете, будем честными. Мне кажется, каждую
Так
программу
вот,
у вас
так
есть
вот,
вот
как
какой-то
это
такой
можно изменить?
кусок о том, что
Просто
успехов...
So is the goal to make it all the way to the Polish border and take all of Ukraine? Is the goal to take the capital city of Kyiv? Is the goal just to take the Donbass region? Putin and Russia won't state their objective because they don't even know what they can achieve. But in the short term, I'm sure that they would love to just capture the city of Bakhmut. They've been directly attacking, trying to take this city for almost a year now, and they still can't do it. So when we go on deepstatemap.live, you can see that they've been assaulting this city, losing tens of thousands of Russian citizens, doesn't matter if it's regular military or Wagner mercenaries. And they can't take the city. So what they're currently trying to do is to go around it and cut off the supply routes. They're trying to reach this village of Chasiv Yar. This is really the last remaining road to get food and supplies into the city for the Ukrainian forces. Now, me personally, if they can't resupply and they can't properly defend the city, pull your troops out, get back to better defended, more fortified positions. But the Ukrainians really do not want to give up this city. They want to continue to deny the propaganda win for the Russians. And it's been a couple weeks, I think, since I've shared a video from Olga, callsign Witch. She hasn't been posting on social media as much lately. People were concerned that maybe something happened to her. But here is a update video from this weekend. And the entire clip is 1 minute 46 seconds. I'm only going to show you about a minute. I'll put the entire clip in a pinned comment down below.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава.
Сьогодні зі мною дуже поважна людина. Сьогодні зі мною представник Української добровольчої армії Пітон. Ми хотіли б сказати пару слів щодо оперативної обстановки, яка зараз склалася в Україні в зв'язку з повномасштабним вторгненням. Пару слів про Бахмут, пару слів про Солидар і пару слів про тактику окупантів, яку зараз вони застосовують. Насправді, Українська добровольча армія – це історичне поняття. Кому цікаво, я вам дуже раджу погуглити і поцікавитися історією взагалі створення Української добровольчої армії і її витоком. І хочу сказати наступне. Український народ, він завжди волів до свободи, волів до демократії і завжди виборював свої права гідно. Зараз ситуація складається так, що світова спільнота, європейська спільнота, демократичний світ підтримує Україну і нікуди українська армія не ділась. Ми нікуди не втічемо. Ми ніколи не здамо наші позиції. Зараз ми готуємось, перегруповуємось і очікуйте на сюрприз.
So Witch is telling us that there's a surprise coming soon. Final clip I have for you is of a Ukrainian defender on the front lines just trying to enjoy a snack.
Сука, мед испачкал.
Не до конца.
Чуть-чуть, да?
Бля! Галету с рук выбила нахуй. Она упала.
I hope he has more snacks. That's all for this update video. Glory to the heroes, glory to Ukraine. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up, best way to support the channel. Comments or questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, take care, be safe.